Ladies and gentlemen, boys and pearls, welcome to episode 9 of the Bearded Purl Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Justin. This is take 2.
There's going to be a take 3.
No, just go for it. What are we here for? Why are we here?
What are we here for?
What's happening?
This is a podcast about the fiber arts and all the crafty shenanigans. Did I say that already?
No.
Okay, good. Welcome to the Hot Mess Express. I'm Caleb.
You said it, but it was in take 1.
Oh. Whatever. Anywho, welcome.
Hi, guys.
I guess we should start off saying thank you to all of our amazing subscribers and all the people that have joined us in the past couple of weeks.
And by a couple of weeks, we mean like 6 weeks.
Like 2 months.
Because it's been a while.
And all of the love that you guys gave us on our little garden video. That was super fun. And we were happy to share it with you. And a lot of people actually asked about seeing one kind of through the different seasons. So yeah, we'll for sure record one for winter and put one up there. And maybe, depending on what it looks like, we might also do something for when we go get our Christmas tree, because we always go and to a local little tree farm and get that cut down. So
I'm laughing because the garden in winter will just be
snow. Like 3 feet of snow.
It will look like this. Here's our garden. We're almost there. We've not actually had snow yet, which is snowflakes.
There's been flurries.
Snowflakes fell from the sky.
And half of our state is still covered in snow.
But we've not had snow. No.
Right. Which is kind of unusual.
It's been a long time. I mean, it seems like a long time. 5 weeks since we did one of these.
Right. Anywho.
What have we been doing?
We have an update on the sidewalk, which is finally fixed. The chipmunks have officially given us the...
Okay, let's start by saying the sidewalk, like our front walkway that we had replaced.
Right.
We've been waiting for months. Mm-hmm. We were on the schedule.
It was planned. So I did post a picture on Instagram of them tearing it up at, 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday.
So we were awakened to the sound of the front end loader, beep, 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 backing, and I ran to the window and looked. We didn't know they were coming on Saturday.
They said this week.
Weather dependent, and it didn't occur to me they would start on a Saturday. So we looked out the window, and there was the first section of sidewalk backing up out of the yard, which is terrifying, plus the lawn, which admittedly looked about as perfect as a lawn can look, if I do say so myself, was like hanging by the sidewalk as it was being drug out. So we had a lot of really heavy rain Thursday and Friday, which is why they didn't come then. So when they came on Saturday, the ground was very soft. It was still very wet, and they kind of annihilated part of our lawn, which...
It's fine. It'll be covered in snow for 6 months anyways.
Whatever. So the chipmunk situation, we were...
heartbroken, because we felt bad that we in essence, took away their home.
Right before,
if you don't know,
right before
and if
winter.
you're new to this saga, the chipmunks are like our local little mob, like mafia like family, where we feed them piles of birds.
It's like Zootopia, the little... What is he, a mole?
What?
Oh,
the little mob boss?
Yeah.
Zootopia. Funny movie, by the way.
What have you done to my home?
We feed them little piles of birdseed, so they stay out of all of our plants and our planters. Otherwise, they tear it up.
Yeah.
And so they made a little home under our front walkway, which was in really rough shape when we moved in.
Apparently their home is much deeper, or I don't actually know where it is, because when they removed the sidewalk, there was no chipmunk.
We felt bad for, 24 hours until we saw because the chipmunk was just sitting on the concrete like, what have you done?
Where the front door used to be. The front door to their house. Chipmunk home. And we felt really bad that we had displaced a family of chipmunks right before winter.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold,
there's a new giant hole, and it's like twice the size of the other one.
They dug a new front door.
Yeah. So they're fine, by the way.
Apparently.
Anyways, concrete looks great.
What are we talking about?
Front walkway is fixed. Chipmunks are happy, I guess.
I've gotten most of the gravel out of the lawn.
Mm-hmm. And the chunks of cement and the
and the
nails.
chunks of cement and the nails. They did a pretty nice job cleaning up, but nobody does it like you do it yourself.
Right.
So I'm going out this afternoon, hopefully in the 30-degree, 100-mile-an-hour wind weather, to finish putting down dirt.
Yeah. It went from being like a somewhat mild day to like 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts the last 24 hours.
Oh.
It has been insane.
And yesterday it was like 55 and sunny, but
And now it's cold
windy.
and windy.
And today it's 30 and cloudy and windy, and it just feels like death. But then
Welcome to November.
we're back in the happy November. Holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
And we got an extra hour of sleep this morning. Maybe that's why we're not making any sense whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a lot going on. The garden is 3/4 ready to go to sleep.
It's just about done.
It's kind of a
The
hot mess in process, getting
Well,
everything pulled up and cut
all that
down
really needs
and-
to be done is the roses need to be covered and kind of trimmed back.
Yeah, we've got to wrap all the
And
roses in
The
lavender.
lavender.
Yeah, so we've been working hard in the garden.
You know what I just realized I forgot?
What?
The stitch markers.
Those stitch markers?
Nope.
Which stitch markers? Do they have stitch markers?
Jackson.
What?
Never mind.
What are you talking about?
The Mr. Rainbow ones? Yeah.
We'll talk about this next time.
We will. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, we're back.
Anywho.
We're not editing this out because why would we bother?
Right.
So let's see.
So-
Other things going on.
Garden is pretty much done.
Garden is asleep. Sidewalk is
Done.
done-ish. Appliances are still broken.
The parts came though.
So it's been so long since we've been here with you guys.
Did we talk about the Megatron?
No, we haven't. So they came right after we recorded last time, the week we recorded.
Yeah,
So
they
the
did.
appliance repair guy came and was able to look at the
Bernie.
dishwasher. Yeah, Bernie. And the microwave. And
He turns the microwave on. And he's like, oh, it doesn't sound like your Megatron's running.
what is a magnetron?
Magnetron?
Magnetron.
Megatron? Did I just say Megatron?
I just thought you were mumbling. It's a magnetron.
Oh. Yeah.
Which is apparently a very obvious part of the microwave that actually makes it cook food. And he literally turned it on, and 2 seconds into it, he said, oh, your magnetron's not working.
To me, it sounded totally normal. But he's like, oh, I can tell
And
that
we
your
were like, what?
Magnetron
And
isn't
he
running.
said, can't you hear that? No. No, Bernie, I cannot. So we have boxes full of parts sitting in our living room.
Our dishwasher, like motherboard, is also
Yeah.
in a box.
So here's the good news. We are not getting, I guess it's good news. It's good news financially. We are not getting a new dishwasher or a new microwave. They're both getting repaired next week. So that's very exciting, considering they've been broken since July. Sigh.
I forgot that.
Yeah, it's been a really long time. But this is what happened. COVID plus home warranty equals nothing happens
Ever.
with any kind of speed.
Haste is not there. Number one customer.
Haste is social distancing from us right now. But you know what? They're going to get fixed. We've gotten really good at washing dishes.
We didn't have a dishwasher for
Yeah, we didn't have a dishwasher in
3
our
or 4
apartment.
years, but
We didn't have a microwave in our apartment either. So
that's true.
we're like pioneers all over again.
We have a great gas range though.
Yeah, the range
The
is
oven
amazing.
is amazing.
It works great. Oh, speaking of new things we did with the oven, last weekend we made sourdough English muffins,
Ooh, those were tasty.
which was really fun. I'm a big fan of an English muffin.
Which apparently is not the same thing as a crumpet.
No, they're not the same as crumpets.
Because
And I don't
crumpets-
think they're English or muffins. But
Right. I don't know where they came from.
anyway, we made really great English muffins. They were little tiny. Because
They rose really high.
I had a 3-inch biscuit cutter, and that's what I used to cut them out. I was following a different recipe than I've used. This was my first time making them with sourdough starter, levain, instead of making them with just a rapid rise yeast. But And we were very skeptical. I mean, they went into the pan like maybe half an inch thick.
Not even a half an inch thick.
But I mean, they rose to probably 2 inches or at least an inch and a half when they were in the pan. So they came out great. They worked really well. It was a nice recipe. So we've been busy in the kitchen. We've done a lot of canning.
Oh, speaking of which.
What have we canned? What have we canned?
We've done, since we last talked, I think it was pears. Beets.
Raspberry jam.
Applesauce. I think that's it.
So many things.
The beets are really putsy though, because you have to boil them, peel the skins, slice, and then pickle them and can them.
And hope that you don't get beet juice on anything, or it ruins your life.
But here they are. So these are ginger and black peppercorn pickled beets. So I just took a plain pickled beet recipe that had onion in it, because we like the flavor of onions added to ours. But in the...
Because we're Polish. And German.
You're more Polish than I am.
Yeah. We like an
Thanks,
onion.
ancestry.
We like an onion. What can I say?
In the pickling liquid, we put slices of fresh ginger and black peppercorns, and then bring it to a boil for 5 minutes, let it steep for 15, and then strain it out and use that as the pickling liquid. But so there's beets and sliced onions in there, and they are really tasty.
We've eaten at least... Have we eaten 2 jars already? And it's been like 3 weeks.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, we've eaten at least 2 jars. They're so good.
And I got 17.
Yeah, we got a lot.
So
we've canned the heck out of it.
We only made maybe 5 or 6 last year.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
And we used all of them.
I like beets, but you never know. They can...
I like big beets and I cannot lie.
Oh, jeez. The beet experimentation process can go really wrong really fast. So, like, it could end up tasting like dirt. Or it could be something really delicious. And so we only did a small batch of the pickled beets the first go-round to see if we liked them. Really tasty.
Yeah.
So, we did that.
What else have we been doing? I got to go...
Oh, you visited your mom.
Apparently, I'm well caffeinated today. I've only had 2 cups of tea. And no Claritin.
And... What was that you said?
2 cups of tea and a Claritin D.
Yeah, that's right.
Welcome to Target.
Welcome to Target.
I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening today.
The title of today's episode should be, Can We Stay on Track with a Thought Process?
No.
No.
I got to go visit my mom in Oklahoma. I hadn't seen her since February. I was there. No. We saw her in Chicago. This was right before COVID really started to impact maybe the Midwest. So we were down in Chicago for an opera the weekend of Valentine's Day. And my mom happened to be in Illinois visiting my aunt and her family. So we all met in Chicago and got to see them. But I hadn't seen anyone in my family since I saw my mom in February. So I got to go spend a week with her in Oklahoma, which was fun. I got to meet our new niece, little June, who is the cutest. You'll get to see a picture of her in a minute.
She's adorable. She's
really cute. And she was born on Mother's Day, so she would be 687,000 minutes old right now.
Or
in baby time.
Like 36 weeks.
36. I don't know. I can't keep track of it. She's like 5 months old. 5.5. How many weeks is that? Parents, how many weeks is 5.5 months in baby time?
24.
Whatever.
25.
Anyway, she's real cute. I got to knit her first item, which you'll see a picture of shortly. But that was a nice trip. It was a very long drive, 13 hours each way. I went by myself. You stayed home.
I did.
And I worked down there for a few days, took a couple of days off to spend time with Mom. It's a lot of fun. Definitely weird. Everything is so uncomfortable during COVID. Yeah. Anyway, so we did that. What else have we been doing? I feel like we've been busier. Work and life have been emotionally and mentally draining.
Yeah.
It's been tough.
Work has been kind of a hot mess.
And I'll say, we've really been watching so many podcasts lately. We've been joining our Thursday night virtual knitting group. Oh, we met up since we were here last. We had our last meetup with our friends in Milwaukee doing our social distance knitting.
Oh, that's right.
It's now officially too cold.
The great porch knit of 2020 is now over.
Yeah, but
that was fun.
I think it's made us realize how much we need
people.
The connection that we're getting here. I mean, we can just sit and listen to podcasts, and sometimes it feels like you're only friends. It's so different when you can't.
Let's clarify that we have a pretty small like social circle to begin with, so like not having any, is kind of.
So a big thank you to everyone out there who helps us still feel connected, and that's that was our goal here, was just to connect with people. So it's been a lot of fun reading the comments, having conversations back and forth. It's really kept us going in a time where sometimes it's hard to keep going. Mm-hmm. Definitely in the last few weeks, we've had a lot of, maybe not down days, but just days where at the end of it,
the fatigue of 2020 is real. Like it's just starting to compound more and more and more exponentially each week as we kind of wrap up the end of the year.
We're still so lucky. I mean, we say all of this knowing that our situation could be so much different. We don't have kids at home that we're trying to homeschool. We're able to work from home. Mm-hmm. So we're in a low risk environment for COVID, although all hell is breaking loose in Wisconsin and kind of the Midwest right now. It's very serious. We've got the election coming up. For those here in the United States, Tuesday is a very big day for us. Although, for those maybe not in the U.S., I don't think any of us expect a whole lot to happen on Tuesday, other than just the chaos continues.
I fully anticipate us not finding out kind of all of the final details until
we'll just say it's been a very contentious, very
the one good side of that
election.
I have to say, if we can look for the plus side in anything, there has been already, I think last time I checked, 90 million people that have voted, which is...
I think it's 65% of the volume of ballots for 2016, our last presidential election. Like 90 million people represent 65% of all the votes counted in 2016.
Which is great. Like
it could be record-breaking
turnout. Voting is an amazing civil right that you have.
And responsibility.
Right. And people are utilizing that. So no matter who you're voting for, it's great that people are getting out and actually using their vote. So that's one plus side of that. And that's probably all we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Long story short.
Politics.
Life.
Life's great.
Life continues. Life's great.
It's just...
But thank you for the comments. We read them and laugh until we cry. I actually laughed so hard. Somebody made a comment a couple weeks ago, or maybe on our, not the garden tour, but the one before that.
I can't wait to hear where this is going.
It said something like, you guys look so uncomfortable in front of the camera. Like maybe you should practice in front of a mirror and like see your body language and how you look. And I laughed so hard when I read it because I thought, we're not uncomfortable in front of the camera at all. We're uptight. Period. I mean, we're kind of uptight.
I'm sitting in a folding chair. What do you want from me?
So that's the other thing. Not only, like, I'll say that I'm uptight.
It's like a folding... Oh, you can't see it. It's like a folding picnic chair.
So just in general, I have a fairly uptight personality. And I also, like, I'm on video at work all day, every day. And so I feel like I just get in this statue. Like, you just get used to staring at the camera all day long for work. But also the rest of that story is we are smashed up against each other in two folding chairs.
Oh yeah,
in our basement,
practically in his lap,
between a folding table and a pile of yarn. So also we can't move.
Our basement isn't very large, and half of it is taken up by a couch. The other half is taken up by a huge sewing table, and so we're left with
then this table,
this much room.
So
it's fine.
Yeah, whatever. We're good. But the comments are so fun. We love them.
We just love being able to do this and share, you know, what we're working on and the different makers and everyone else that like comes to comment or, you know, share their stories is a lot of fun, and we love interacting with everyone, and you know, are so thankful that everyone has come to kind of be a part of our own little community. So
the support has been wonderful. The
appreciate
interaction has been great. Yeah, a very big thank you.
even if they're all making fun of me and saying that you're the sweet nice one, which is not true. Oh, your eyebrows came out.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not.
To crafting.
Yeah, knitting.
All right.
By the way, I know someone's going to ask, so I'm going to say it out
It's
loud.
the austere.
What? Oh, the sweater? I am wearing a sweater that I did not knit. It was actually knit by one of our friends, Dana, for you,
For me.
out of Kenzie yarn.
Haiku
Kenzie.
Which is an alpaca, angora, silk, merino blend. This is all from memory, so
At some point, you'll see a whole sweater in a gray Kenzie from me if I ever dig it out of.
I made a flax out of the
the red,
Kenzie.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll wear that.
It's a really great yarn. It's very warm,
But it's super light.
and the pattern is by Brooklyn Tweed. Mm-hmm. And what did you say it was?
I think it's the austere.
Something. We'll look it up.
I am not 100% certain, but I will link it in the show notes.
Yeah. So it's really great. It doesn't. I mean, it kind of fits you. It's a little big for you and a little long, and so I stole it and I'm wearing it. And there. So now you know about the sweater in case somebody was wondering what it was.
Also, funny story about another sweater that you stole from me. I knit an amazing...
It's not my fault you can't knit a sweater that fits your body.
I have learned my lesson and now knit them appropriately, which is important to knit to your size, not what you think you should. Measure yourself twice. Have your friend measure you. Measure yourself again, and then knit to that size. Anyways, those are early on in my sweater knitting days. But so
Don't you blame me for this sweater. I know exactly where this is going.
I knit an amazing Brooklyn Tweed sweater. It was the Atlas pullover, and I knit it in the plume colorway. So it was a purple.
Like that eggplant royal purple. It's gorgeous. Oh, that color.
This one.
It's right here.
And then I had pumice. And
we are really off track.
Out of these three colors. And we can't find it. And
we lost it.
We've looked through every single box. I'm pretty sure it was accidentally donated to Goodwill. But I digress.
I can only hope that someone found it, saw it, and immediately snatched it up and wears it every day because it had literally never been worn.
I wore it once. And I loved it.
Okay, it had literally only been worn once.
It was like a baby of mine. I know it's gone forever.
It disappeared when we moved. So it probably ended up in a donation box. Why would I have given it away? I was going to steal it because it didn't fit you. I wouldn't have given away something I was trying to steal. Anyway.
Anywho.
Knitting.
Projects.
What are we doing? Crafting.
Do you want to start since... You can't see it.
Since I actually have finished objects. I didn't mean that.
Rude.
Well, I mean, I meant it because it's true.
So Buster is currently sleeping on my sweater. Like full on passed out. I'll see if I can take a picture. So you start.
Let's start with finished objects. So the first thing I finished, we're going to look at in absentia because I gave it to my little niece. It was part of her Halloween costume. I'm hoping, by the way, I wasn't supposed to show anything until after Halloween, but because of the ice storms in Oklahoma, my brother and his wife and the baby are currently displaced in Tulsa because they still don't have power after more than a week. So hopefully she's had a chance to debut her Halloween costume now. But I made the baby ear flap hat by Julie Hentz. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And I made it out of, I'll show you the yarn. It's a Lion brand acrylic yarn in a pretty yellow color that I got at Joann. And my sister-in-law sent me a picture of, she had a knit and a crochet version of a hat. I think she just found them on Pinterest. But cuteness overload coming up. Let's see if this works. This.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
She was a cute little chicken.
This is our little niece in her little hat. So I made the ear flap hat exactly per the pattern instructions. It comes in 3 sizes. There's an infant, or like a newborn, an infant, and then I think little kid is the largest of the 3 sizes.
Like toddler.
But it says little kid. It actually says little kid.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm not just being obnoxious. Yeah, I think it was labeled newborn, infant, and little kid. So I knit the infant size, and she's around 5 months old, and it actually fit perfectly. So I knit the pattern exactly as it was written, and then just added some little sewn on buttons for the eyes and a little felt beak. And then I can't remember. I don't think the pattern had a pom-pom, but my sister-in-law wanted a little pom-pom on the top.
Oh, did you do a pom-pom?
Yeah, so I made a little pom-pom, and then
It's really cute.
I don't think the pattern actually had the little, so I said I knit it exactly as it was written, which I did, but then I added things to it. So I added the little pom-pom on top and the little braided pieces, the little braided tassels on the ear flaps that were in the photo that she sent me. That was kind of her inspiration. So that's my first finished object. It was really cute, a really easy pattern to follow. It was an interesting knit. I've only knit one other ear flap hat, which interestingly enough was for a child. And what was different about this one, you knit the ear flaps first, and then like you would knit across one ear flap, cast on stitches, knit across the other one and cast on stitches. And that's how you joined it. So you had live stitches on the ear flap and then went up. The other one I think I knit the whole hat, and then it had you pick up stitches and knit the ear flap down. So it's just kind of a different construction, kind of going bottom up all the way. It was fun. It was really easy to knit. I think I started knitting the ear flaps during the first presidential debate, if anybody remembers that. So there was a lot of acrylic squeaking going on because it was real tense. So that was my first finished object. It's been a long 2 months. My second finished object, and I'm really excited about this one, is my Oktoberfest socks
Your yearly pair.
My yearly pair. This is the 2020 pair, and I think it's my favorite of the 4 pair that I've knit now. Have I knit 4 or 5? 4. 4, 5, 2. I don't know. However many. I showed them before. So this yarn is absolutely stunning. Oh, I'll show you the other sock. They're mirror images of each other. So the pattern has an offset cable on one side. So you can see here's the right sock and the left sock, but they're identical. I followed the pattern exactly as written. It's the Oktoberfest socks by Susan Dietrich. It's another free pattern on Ravelry, so it's a really great one if you're interested in a nice cabled sock. I knit mine on a US 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter. I knit it magic loop, which is what I always do. This I knit, so a US 1, 72 stitches, which is my new go-to combination of needle and stitch count for socks. I started maybe experimenting, I guess kind of last fall, trying to figure out, I used to knit everything on a US 2, 64 stitch, but I'm trying to get a denser, better wearing fabric, which I think I've done with the combination of the 72 stitches and the one.
That reminds me, asked about why we knit socks, even though our feet are basically the same size, on different needles. So I like to knit socks on a 2, and you're knitting yours on a 1 now. It still gets us the same circumference. The fabric is just a little bit different.
Right. So the sock is actually the exact same size, and I'm forgetting in my head right now, but I think my gauge on a 1 is about 9 stitches per inch versus somewhere around 8.5 stitches per inch on a 2. So the circumference ends up being exactly the same because or maybe there's a whole stitch difference.
That wouldn't make sense if it was just a half a stitch.
Yeah, maybe it's a whole stitch. Maybe it's like 8 stitches versus 9. But the stitch count, so the increase in stitches also has more stitches per inch. So the circumference, the socks end up being exactly the same size, but the fabric has a totally different feel. In fact, it was really nice the day that I finished these. I happened to have on the very first pair that I knit, which was a 64 stitch done on a 2, and I was able to put the 2 socks on, like one on the right foot, one on the left foot, and having a different one of each. And you can really see how different the fabric is. It's also fun to see yourself knitting the same pattern 5 years later, and
that's a testament to a really great pattern.
How much better it is. I mean, yeah, I've been knitting this same pattern for 5 years. So really excited to have those done. The yarn, really quickly, I'll show it just one more time while I talk about it. The yarn for the main part of the sock was Murray Woolgood's Tweedy sock base. Sarah's base is so beautiful, and it's dyed really, really well. The colors are just really nice. It's kind of a saturated jewel tone, almost rainbow. The colorway is called Glorious Day. And this base is a BFL nylon. It's an 85% BFL, Blue Face Luster, and 15% nylon. It is a superwash BFL. And there's 438 yards for 100 grams. So it's a really nice sock yarn. It knit up beautifully. In fact, I reached out to Sarah and said, as soon as I'm ready to just buy yarn, I want a whole sweater quantity out of it. It was absolutely magnificent to work with. It didn't split a single time. I love tweed, and the color just shows up really nicely on the BFL. So really exciting. And then the heel and toe I did in a contrasting color. This is a Blad Dye Works, an old yarn that I had used for a different pair of socks, and I had enough left over to do the heel and toe. And so I did the Eye of Partridge heel, and in Susan's pattern, I think she has a couple of different heel flap options. And then I did an anatomic toe. So there's a right sock and a left sock that are shaped anatomically. And otherwise I followed the pattern exactly, and I'm really happy with how they came out. So those are my 2 finished objects, a pair of socks and the baby hat.
Awesome. I don't have any finished objects, mainly because I have been fixing all of my grievous mistakes with my Spice cardigan, which was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, but it's okay. It's fixed. Everything is fine.
It's so worth it, though.
It just takes a lot of time to go back and fix some of these things, but here's the thing. You will never regret going back to fix your mistakes, but you will always have that chance of potentially regretting not fixing it. So
it's painful to have to go back and reknit a sweater multiple times. But I think your point is so valid. It's always worth it to go fix it and have it be something you'll wear in the end.
Yes. So the reason that I had to fix it is because my steek, which is the center section of stitches that you use to kind of cut open the sweater, I had made it too big because I misread the pattern, and then my center line was off, which then made my arms off and my pockets off. So I had to readjust my steek. So after I ripped back my sleeves, because it's knit from the bottom up, so your sleeves are knit separately, and then you attach them and then have raglan decreases to kind of close that up. So I had to rip all of that out and take my sleeves off. Then
I know you're glaring at my phone, but I had to show the hat picture.
Right, but you could have turned it off on. Then I had to fix my steek, so I had to drop 3 stitches down and then repick them back up in the colorwork pattern. I didn't have to do that, but I wanted to do that. Then I had to readjust my pockets. So one pocket was in the right place, and the other pocket was like 12 stitches off. So I had to then pick out waste yarn and like snip and regraft, and then Kitchener.
So basically cut the hole wider on the one side to put it in the right place,
it on the other side,
and had to then
shift it over, and then rejoin the sleeves and finish the sweater.
Gross.
It was not fun, and it took me a long time, but so worth it. So I finally am at the point now where I actually steeked the sweater a couple days ago. And so I picked up
Friday night?
Yeah, I picked up all of the stitches on my button band, and now I'm doing the short rows for the collar and the rest of the pattern. But so I knit my pocket out of the leftover spin cycle that I had. So it's kind of a fun.
This thing is unwieldy.
It's unwieldy, so it's kind of hard to show right now. But so the ribbing in the pocket is in your main color, but then I think the pocket itself is supposed to be also knit out of your main color, but I wanted a fun little pop of your pocket, so I knit mine out of my leftover spin cycle.
Is your other pocket the same color?
Just about. It's close.
Oh yeah. I love how they change.
And then, so I did the crocheted reinforced steek, which worked really well. And this is my first steek, so I was slightly terrified, but there are a lot of great videos out there. I used the Tin Can Knits tutorial, which is the one that Andrea Mowry includes in the pattern, which now that I'm thinking about, the pattern is the Spice Cardigan, if I didn't say that already.
Sorry, there are cats everywhere climbing on towers of...
And the yarn I'm using for my main color, this gray, is Magpie Fibers Nest Worsted, which is 100% superwash, 100% non-superwash Corriedale. And then the contrast color, which I have none left of, is a spin cycle in their Dream State base. Well, I should say the Dream State weight. It's the same base as all of their other yarn. It's just a worsted weight. So the colorway in that is Mississippi Marsala, and it's 100% American wool, and it is 150 yards per 50 grams.
So
I'm super excited.
I love the color. I know that you've gone back and forth with how much you like the colorway you chose for your spin cycle.
Yep.
But I love the baby blue sections. Like right here, there's a few of them, and this pocket ended up, being pretty light. But then you get that pretty salmon color, and then I actually you can see it more in person. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but you almost lose a little bit of it, but you don't. You can still see. I love all of the different colors. I think it's a great combination with the gray. It's going to look really nice when
I love the non-superwash
and it
yarn.
fits you perfectly.
Yeah. So, which is funny because I actually knit mine. I liked the gauge I got better with the needle size up than with the suggested needle size of the pattern. So I knit my body and my sleeves actually on an 8, and the pattern calls for a 7. And
did you do any modification to the sleeve sizing?
No.
You just went up a needle size.
Size.
So are you on gauge, or is your gauge?
It's slightly.
Are you getting a slightly bigger sweater than the size you're knitting?
Slightly bigger, but not by much. I mean, when I measured my swatch, I think I was off by like a quarter of a stitch. So over the course of the whole sweater, I mean, that's like maybe an inch or two.
A couple inches, yeah.
Which is fine because I wanted it to fit like another sweater I have. So
I don't like a really snug sleeve.
Right. That's the problem I have with a lot of sweaters is it will fit throughout the rest of the body.
And I don't think either one of us have unusually large or muscular arms.
I mean, I'm not
I feel like
super muscular, but
pretty proportionate.
The top of the sleeve is always snug, and I hate that in a sweater.
I definitely don't want negative ease or zero ease in the sleeve of a sweater. Plus, I think we wear, like today, I have
I never wear my sleeves at like fully extended, so I always bunch them up anyways because I have short arms. Plus, I just don't like things around my wrists because they always get in the way. So
they get caught up in your bangles,
in my jewels. But no, it's just I don't know. I never really liked things at my wrists.
Well, so. I think we wear a lot of sweaters too over long sleeve shirts.
Right.
And so like I'm wearing it's not a slim fit, it's a really traditional cut like chambray shirt. And this sleeve is perfect. I wouldn't want something skin tight on my sleeve when I've got a shirt on underneath. So I
love that sweater, and I am super excited to finish it. It's a good pattern. I would definitely say read it, and maybe it could be a little bit clearer in the steek section because this is the first sweater I've ever steeked, and the first like 3 snips in the sweater are mildly terrifying, and after that it's super fun, and I totally want to steek another sweater. So it's one of those new techniques, and like I've screwed this sweater up time and time again to where I thought, well, if I screwed up my steek and I cut it, it's basically done for. But just follow the steek tutorials that are out there. The one that I did was a crocheted steek, so, or I should say crocheted reinforcement, because you're not actually crocheting the steek. But so you go into the side, so you know a knit stitch is a V, so you go into the side of one stitch and the side of another, so you have your center steek stitch that you're actually cutting in half.
So you cut in the middle of a stitch? You cut
in the middle of a stitch.
Okay.
So you have grabbed this, there we go. So you would cut in the middle, like right here, or well, actually right here. And so you would grab this leg of one stitch and this leg of your steek and crochet it together. And so you make a chain of crochet stitches, doing that up every stitch on each side. So your stitches are, so if you snip it right here, so you would snip in the middle of this stitch. And so these stitches here and here are locked in by the steek. So it's brilliant.
It's as brilliant as our diagram was.
Right.
It would have been easier had I not been that way.
Yeah. But it was super easy to do. And
I wasn't nervous at all when you cut it. And I don't think you were that drunk when you cut it.
I wasn't drunk at all.
Oh.
I had zero alcohol. But probably a good thing. Because sharp things and yarn.
I remember asking Kathy, our friend that was knitting the sweater along with you.
A little bit of wine probably could have calmed the nerves.
I think she'd had a little bit when we were together when she cut her steek. And I said, have you had the right amount of wine? Because I feel like a little bit is probably helpful.
And too much.
A little bit of courage is a good thing. Too much wine is probably a bad thing.
So it was
I think it looks great.
It was super fun. I hate roller coasters, but I would imagine this is the kind of thrill people get from a roller coaster. Like, it's mildly terrifying, but super exciting and exhilarating at the same time.
Cutting a sweater is nothing like being on a roller coaster.
It's the knitting equivalent, I think. I mean, there's a good chance that you might throw up either way. Because you're so nervous.
I guess that's true.
But, anyways, it's a lot of fun.
I'll say that I remember early on, maybe your fourth or fifth, like ripping out and reknitting of the sweater. I said, I will never, ever knit the sweater, but yours looks so good.
The pattern is not that hard.
And I got to try...
I just screwed it up.
I got to try Kathy's on when we were together, and she had just cut her steek, and her size is the same size that I would be knitting for myself, and it fit perfectly, and it's a beautiful cardigan. So now I'm very tempted to knit one.
It was a lot of fun,
except
too.
I'm a little terrified of
it.
Do I read patterns closely enough?
That's my problem. I think the more experienced you are with knitting, the more you think, oh, like, I briefly read through the whole pattern, aka I just browsed the front page and what I needed to do. And
meaning you looked at the pictures?
Yeah, basically. It's kind of like cooking. Like, you really should read through the whole recipe first before you start, because you might find out halfway that you need an ingredient or you need to do something that you didn't read, and you're like, oh. Well.
Or that sugar was supposed to be divided into two.
Yeah.
And only half goes in the cake.
The pattern is great, and I just screwed it up on my own. So, like, I take full responsibility for that.
It's a great sweater.
I would actually knit another one, for sure.
Yeah.
And I wanna find another pattern that uses the steeking, because it was super fun, and it makes a lot of sense once you kind of learn the nuances of a steek and what they're there for. Would totally do that again.
Fun. Should I show my sweater?
Sure.
Speaking of not reading patterns, I'd like to introduce you to the Calyx by Elizabeth Doherty.
Also a super fun pattern.
A great pattern. I'm knitting this for my mother, and I'm laughing about the fact that I've said at least 3 times, had I read the pattern before I started, I wouldn't have started it because I would have been chicken.
And that's in your fun.
It's in my Charlie Harper Cardinal bag. So when I actually read through the pattern, I was terrified because the construction is
complex,
way different than anything I've ever knit before. However, I'm kind of glad I didn't read the pattern first, because I would have been scared and wouldn't have done it. But it's actually no part of it has been difficult at all. It's just
There's a lot of bits
there's a
and pieces.
lot of there's just a lot of things to do, but I think the pattern is well written. It's nice to knit. So here is my mom's sweater. Also, please judge me and maybe explain to me why I have 400 tails that are all 3 feet long on this sweater right now. So this is my calyx for my mom. It's knit out of Miss Babs Yowza, which is a DK in her Scarlet Letter colorway, which is this gorgeous, really beautiful tonal red. The sweater has a really pretty lace panel in the front, and then the back of the sweater is solid stockinette. What's interesting about the construction, again, every little aspect has a little something special on it. So you start with a provisional cast on the bottom. You knit up to the armhole. It has a drop sleeve or a drop shoulder. So when you get up to the bottom of the armhole, you split and knit. So you're knitting in the round from the bottom to the armhole. Then when you get to the chest portion, you knit the front and the back panels separately. Then, and there's short row shaping. I'm not a super experienced sweater knitter, and I'm not very experienced with short row shaping. Our friend Kathy also helped me replace the wrap and turns in the pattern with German short rows, which were really easy to do. I had never done them before. So you finish the front and the back pieces of the chest, which are still attached to the body. And then you knit 2 shoulder panels.
Which is the same lace pattern as the front.
Which is the same lace pattern as the front. So you knit separately the right and shoulder panels. You leave a long tail and then pick up stitches and do a 3-needle bind off to join the shoulder panel. So at this point, I have the body of the sweater done.
So you need to do the sleeves.
So the next step is to pick up the stitches for the neck. Oh. And there's a lot of, you could say, complexity, but it ends up with a lot of nice finishing detail. So you pick up the stitches for the neck and then you do a lateral braid for a row, which gives you a nice, sideways kind of knit stitch V that wraps all around the neck of the sweater. So you have a really finished looking connection all the way around, which is nice. Then I think you knit the sleeves, and then I think all that's left to do at the bottom
is an
I-cord bind off. And that's why you leave the stitches live. But clearly I'm not, well, I guess I did read the pattern if I know that.
It's been a while.
I remember starting the sweater and I was like,
but it looks so
20
fun.
rows in, and I looked at Caleb and said, I don't even know if I'm knitting this bottom up or top down.
And so it's kind of a really nice.
It's kind of I would say maybe like a tunic style. It doesn't have ribbing at the bottom. It just kind of flares out a little bit. It's actually straight. There's not any shaping. It has the drop shoulder and a 3/4 length sleeve, which will look really nice on my mom. And then a pretty neckline with ribbing. You probably can't see that, but it's a beautiful sweater. I saw it on the Grocery Girls podcast. I think Tracy made one, and
Hers is yellow.
Yeah, I thought right away that my mom would really like this. She wasn't nuts about a ribbed bottom on a sweater, but she really liked the bottom in particular. And she's not very tall, and she also lives in Oklahoma, where it doesn't get. I say it doesn't get cold, although it was in the 20s and they had an ice storm a week ago. So this will be great. She wanted a nice, really pretty red Christmas sweater. And if I get motivated...
Christmas colors.
Oh, look at that. If I get motivated, I could have it done in a couple of weeks. All that I really have left to do is pick up the stitches and knit the collar, do the sleeves, which are knit in the round, and then the bind off. So I'm really, really excited about that. It's been a super fun knit. I highly recommend the pattern. It's very well written. The instructions are clear. If you're up for a challenge, it's challenging in that the construction is unique, but half of these things I've never done before, and I figured them all out with the hardest, the part I got the most stuck with was actually a couple nights ago when I went to go knit the shoulder panel, and it said like holding both yarns together, and I was thinking, why in the world would I hold both yarns together? Both yarns, because I'm using 2 balls and alternating the skeins throughout the sweater. I forgot that the pattern itself is written with like a linen and I think a mohair held together. Like it was written for, I think, like a fingering and a lace weight held together, and I substituted a DK. So the pattern was talking about knitting it as it was written.
Not your balls.
And I was literally just staring at, like, I was holding the yarn together thinking, why in the world would I be doing this?
Right.
Wow. Hi, I know how to knit. Anyway, that's the calyx. We'll see if I'm productive the next time we meet. It'll be done.
So my next project, I don't have a picture for it because my friend sent me a video from TikTok, and I don't really still understand what TikTok is, and I don't have one, but it's for a crocheted color block sweater. So it's a bunch of crocheted squares that are just seamed together.
Are you not using a pattern?
No. So I looked at the video, yeah, and just totally making it up as I go.
I didn't know that. You're just inventing a color block crocheted sweater.
Yeah. Well, from a video.
Oh.
But I had to pause it like a million times to try and get like the stitches and whatever. So it's just a bunch of squares, and so I have some of the gold done, and then I started some of the pink.
I didn't know you weren't following a pattern.
And then these are the other two colors. So it'll be a bunch of squares in these 4 colors. And then I'm going to seam it in the lightest color, which is the pink in this instance. But it's just a bunch of squares that are pieced together. So I think it's 16 or 12 on the front. So it's like 4 squares across, I think 3, maybe 4 down. And then it's got crocheted ribbing on for the collar and the cuffs and the hem of the sweater, but I'm just going to pick up and knit the stitches because it'll be faster for me to do that. But I am using the Big Twist yarn, which is 100% acrylic from Joann's, and because I wanted something that was going to be super easy to take care of and like no maintenance whatsoever for the person that's going to be getting the sweater.
I'll say too, in the picture, again, I'm shocked you don't have a pattern. It's a very oversized sweater with no shaping.
Right. But it does have that ribbon on the bottom that kind of pulls it in nice. So it's a really boxy, cozy, comfy sweater.
Yeah, it's gonna look great.
And my friend Genevieve that I'm making it for, I think it'll look great. Like she can totally pull off those like slouchy, like
she can pull off literally
shoulder.
anything. You could give her a paper
amazing.
Grocery bag, and she'd look like a supermodel in it.
Yeah. She's stunning, and she's an amazing human being that does a lot to support different communities and organizations that help, like underfunded and marginalized individuals. So she deserves something extra special. But I actually am really enjoying using this yarn. It's really nice to work with.
You said it's acrylic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's normally I would go for, natural fibers and wools, but again, I want it to be something that she doesn't have to sit and fuss with, and it'll still be warm and great.
You mean like my mother, who wants to put her hand knit sweater in the washing machine in the dryer?
Right.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. There is. But you just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Anywho, so it's trying to see. It's a worsted weight yarn, but it's a little bit heavier than that. It's 320 yards for 6 ounces. So it's a nice kind of like Aran weight, but really enjoying working with it. I actually picked some up in a gray to make my sister. It's kind of crocheted. I don't crochet a lot. Let me start and preface
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But I do enjoy it time and time again. I might start with an actual cohesive train of thought there. I learned how to crochet before I knew how to knit from my grandmother. So she taught me how to crochet, and I did it for a really long time, and then I kind of stopped, mainly because I sort of developed some wrist issues with it. Probably some carpal tunnel problems, but I do enjoy it.
A hooking injury.
Yeah, a hooking injury.
Broken hip. Sprained wrist.
I do have some difficulties following crochet patterns, so for me it's easier to just look at something.
Is it because you don't read them?
So I look at something and just kind of go for it. Thank you. I use my creative license. Plus, crochet is a little bit easier to fix or rip out than knitting.
I know how to crochet. Like, I could probably make this. I can crochet a dishcloth. I know the stitches: single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet. But I don't really know how to follow patterns. And a couple of years ago, well, in a few weeks we'll get them out when we get ready for Christmas decorations. But some friends of ours from our local yarn store in Milwaukee taught me how to crochet snowflakes. And my favorite thing about crochet, which is also I think the most irritating thing when you're learning it, is they're like, oh, just stick your hook in there anyway. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just like go in there and make a stitch. And it's really difficult when your brain wants something very structured, and in knitting you can't just, although you can, when you learn what you're doing, I think that's anything.
Yeah.
Like, I finished one of the shoulder seams.
You can fudge it.
And I had 4 extra stitches on one side and 2 on the other, and I was like, I don't know what I did. So I made it work.
So, the details of my squares, I'm just kind of making it up. So, I am using that, like, Aran worsted weight yarn, and it is crocheted on an eye hook, which is a 5.25 millimeter. And I did 27 stitches on my foundation chain, and then crocheted second chain in with a half double crochet. So it's 25 stitches across, and there are 14 rows. So it made a square. And you can check that by folding one corner over the other, and it'll make a perfect triangle. Fun little trick. But I think it's a nice fabric. It's not super dense, but it still at the same time doesn't have a ton of holes in it, which
I'm laughing,
again,
thinking, have I ever made a perfect square in crochet?
I don't know.
The edge gets me every time.
It's super fun.
The colors are going to be really beautiful, and they're going to go. Genevieve has like a really pretty light skin tone and blonde hair, and I think it'll look just beautiful on her.
Mm-hmm. The colors that she chose look great.
Yeah.
So,
what else? Do you have any other works in progress? I have one.
Kind of. It's a swatch, which is technically a work in progress, I guess.
Is it?
I don't know.
That drastically changes the number of things you have going on.
So I swatched for the new pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and it's the High Lonesome sweater, which I love. And so I am using, the main color is Farmer's Daughter fibers in the Recollect base, which is 100% Rambouillet, and it's a mixture of black and white Rambouillet. And it's a really fun, really springy, nice and soft. So I just...
We are all about interesting fibers right now.
Yeah. Also,
Rambouillet,
this is my favorite
Corriedale.
color, so you can see me wearing, and like, I just love it.
Did you point to me like I'm that color?
No.
Oh.
Did I?
Well, you can
I meant
gesticulate
to point
it in my direction.
over here, where I also have the yarn in the same color. Anyways.
It doesn't matter what color or fiber you're looking for. It's probably within arm's reach in this basement right now.
So I blocked my swatch, and I actually needed to go up a needle size to get gauge. So it was supposed to be 20 stitches to 4 inches, and I was at, I don't know, 20 stitches at
Not
like 3.5
stitches.
inches. And so I just went up to a 6. The pattern calls for a 5. And I just knit my swatch in plain stockinette, even though it's probably supposed to be in color work. I don't know. My gauge doesn't really vary that much between color work and stockinette. So there's my blocked swatch, and like I said, that's the Farmer's Daughter Fibers Rambouillet.
Is this your second swatch?
Yes.
Did you re-swatch?
I took apart my first swatch because I knew it just wasn't going to block out to be big enough.
And the second one was right?
Yes.
Okay.
The second one was right. So like I said, that's the Recollect, which is our sport weight, 100% white and black Rambouillet.
Is that a 2-ply?
Yes, 185 yards per 2 ounces, and the colorway is Cinnapaw. Also, if you aren't following the Farmer's Daughter Fibers, you have to, because she's amazing and she's an incredible businesswoman who supports the community she lives in, but has amazing products. So I'm going to use that as my main color.
I even like the way her
tags.
labels are riveted on.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
And then I'm using Spin Cycle, and the pattern calls for the Dream State, which is the worsted weight, so that your color work pops. But I really, really liked the color of the Dyed in the Wool, which is 100% American wool, and it's a sport weight. So it's a sport weight versus the Dream State, which is the worsted. But I just like the color a lot, and they said that you can use either, but the color work really pops with the worsted. But like I said, I like this one. So this is the Cold Comfort colorway, and I just think that like creamy, grayish, almost burgundy color in there will really, really look nice with this color.
It almost has like a buttery color. It's just really
it's
pretty.
warm and kind of creamy, but I think that'll be super fun. Here it is, the contrast color. And again, that's the High Lonesome sweater by Caitlin Hunter.
I have got to find a pattern. I want to do a color work yoke sweater.
And I don't have the pattern with me right now, but I do have the swatch. I'm just diving into my second swatch. I recently bought some of Chelsea Luxe in her Duet, which is it's a skein of mohair twisted with a skein of her cobblestone base. So
they're separate skeins, just twisted together.
So they kind of come as a set.
A yarn baby.
So this one is sunflower, but the cobblestone base, which is this fun kind of slubby bit, is 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, 438 yards. The mohair is a 72% kid mohair, 28% silk at 459 yards. So I'm holding those together, and this is my swatch, which I am in love with. And I'm gonna knit a Gramps cardigan out of that. I haven't knit a sweater.
Is that the one Kevin just knit?
I don't remember.
We know somebody that just made a Gramps cardigan.
But it's a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and I wasn't sure. I haven't knit a sweater with mohair in it yet, so I wasn't sure if it was gonna be too hot for me. So I wanted a cardigan in case I needed to, open it up, or if I wanted to take it off, and that way I could wear it open without it being too hot. So, plus I think the texture in that'll be really fun.
I love the texture.
And it is so
of that
soft,
cobblestone.
and I love the color. I just think they knit up together beautifully. So that's also in my knitting pipeline. I gotta finish my spice cardigan before I can start either of those, but at least I have the swatches done. And that's all that I've kind of been working on.
I have one more work in progress.
Okay.
Ugh. My back is killing me. Thank you, hauling around bags of topsoil and digging gravel and concrete out of the yard. Also, I'm old. Whatever.
Like
Speaking of Christmas and holidays, look how festive I am today.
Festivus for the rest of us.
This is a new to me dyer. Michelle from Woolens and Nosh. Yeah, look, I can lose a ball band like I can lose a hair that wasn't gray. Took me forever to find it this morning. So Michelle, we'll talk a little bit in a minute about how we got connected with Michelle. But Michelle of Woolens and Nosh sent us some yarn, and I immediately
Took it and cast on
the sock. So this is her. I don't think the base has a name, but it's a 75 superwash Coriadale and a 25% nylon. So my other socks that I showed were BFL. This is Coriadale, another really nice, I like to say rustic or sheepy, but what does that mean? It's a more structured yarn, which I actually really
rustic
love.
And sheepy does not mean itchy.
No.
So someone asked about that. I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before, but rustic and sheepy or toothy are not.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, they're not equitable to itchy. It's just the yarn itself has more structure or more texture to it.
And you can think about it maybe in terms of different fabrics or fibers that you would wear. You may have something fleece, you may have a cotton shirt, you may have denim. In fact, a lot of these are cotton based, but just the weave or the fabric is totally different.
It's not.
So it doesn't mean it's uncomfortable. They're just different.
And I really like exploring different fibers other than merino, because to me merino is the pumpkin spice of the knitting world as far as fiber goes.
Well, it's everywhere for a reason.
It's just so commercial. I mean, it's an amazing fiber, but it's just so commercialized that there are so many other amazing fibers out there. Or I should say different types of breeds of sheep.
We love them.
And we love experimenting with them.
Yeah. So this is a superwash Corriedale base. Again, the colorway is called Cookie Swap. And I'm not sure how well the camera will pick this up, but it's a 9-color repeat. So I'm saying it starts on my sock with this darkest chocolate brown. And this brown right here is a lighter color. It's not quite as saturated.
It's like a gingerbread cookie
Yeah,
color.
so there are 9 different colors: greens, pink, red, the blue, this cream color. It's just so cool, and it's knitting up beautifully. So I'm knitting a garter rib sock. So I'm not following a pattern. I'm just kind of making my own up. But this is one of our go-to kind of vanilla patterns. If you've not knit a garter rib before, you knit one row and then you do a 2x2 rib the next row. So it's a row of straight knitting, then a row of 2x2 knit purl rib. So it gives you a nice texture. It's technically still ribbed, but if you stretch it apart, you can see that it's a garter stitch instead of all purl inside, which is nice. It goes a little bit faster than a fully ribbed sock and gives you just a different feel. So
this colorway isn't out yet because it's going to be part of a super fun kit that Michelle and I are putting together.
Super fun.
But it's going to be a really, really cool kit that is cookie swap themed. So I hope that everyone checks it out. We'll be releasing a lot more details as we kind of have some of the pieces put together in the next couple of weeks. But there's going to be a cookie recipe and a cookie cutter and just lots of really fun little
not only is Michelle a beautiful yarn dyer, but she's like black belt ninja baker.
She is an amazing cookie decorator and just a lovely human being.
Yeah,
so we're so fun.
Very excited about that kit coming out. But a couple of things that I'll mention about this. So I immediately cast on. I knit the leg up really quickly, just standard ribbing in the leg. And I was going to use the whole skein of yarn and just do the whole sock without contrasting heel and toe. And I got through the heel flap, which actually looked really great. It was, just a giant kind of color block version of this blue. I forget where it started. It started with the white. So it had the white, the red, maybe the brown and the blue. And I was almost through the gusset decreases, and I realized that I was about halfway through the gusset decreases. I realized that I only had 63 grams of yarn left. So it is interesting, not problematic, but just a factor to be considered.
Well, and they'll still play into the minis.
Yeah. There's 383 grams. No, I'm sorry, 383 yards in this 100-gram skein. So what that means is you get a really nice, beautiful, plump yarn because you're still working with 100 grams, so just under 4 ounces. But you only get 383 yards. And this is not an unusually tall sock. In fact, the leg of the sock I compared against my Oktoberfest socks. So it was maybe about 7.5 inches, but I held them up next to each other. So it's not unusually tall. And I'm knitting a 72 stitch sock on a 1, so same needle and stitch count combo that I've been using lately. But I was going to run out of yarn. There was no way I was going to get like the next 6 inches of the foot knit with only 13 grams of yarn. So you happen to be texting with Michelle, messaging back and forth, and I was realizing that I needed to rip it back and use a contrasting heel and toe in order to have enough yarn for the sock that I wanted to create. So I'll say all of that. any rib is going to use more yarn. I'm doing a 72 stitch
Right.
sock on a 1. So it's not that this isn't enough yarn to make a pair of socks.
It absolutely is.
It's plenty of yarn to make socks, but to do what I'm mentally and emotionally committed to doing with the yarn, I needed more, which is fine. But Michelle actually happened to be...
She was dyeing minis when I
literally-
texted her and was like, by the way, do you have any...
Yeah, dyeing minis. So she is sending us, we got a mini for the heel and toe in this pretty blue color. So that's coming. I ripped out the gusset and I actually took one stripe out of the leg to make it just a hair shorter. So I make sure I have enough. But that's going to be really great. Again, if I were knitting a shorter sock or something that was stockinette, I would have more than enough yarn. But I don't want to play chicken and I don't want to run out. So I'm excited to have that going. I also want to point out, I apologize for the name mispronunciation, but Akemi of Takemi Crafts on Etsy. We've talked about her a lot lately, and her beautiful stitch markers sent us some great holiday or winter themed stitch markers. So this is a really pretty buffalo plaid kind of travel coffee cup stitch marker that I have on here, and I'm so excited to have that. It's really beautiful and very festive. So I also put it in a Christmas tree sock bag. This is one of our older sock bags. So if you have one of the newer ones, they're actually
A little bit bigger.
a little bit bigger than this now, although this easily holds a pair of socks and a couple skeins of yarn. So I'm excited to have that done. I'm appreciative, weirdly, of the universe forcing me to stop knitting this sock and pick up the K-legs, which I was avoiding. Otherwise, I would just be knitting socks, which is what I love to do. I have one more work in progress.
Okay.
Totally unrelated to, not unrelated, a new craft for, have we talked about spinning at all
I have, yeah.
over the last couple of months? I decided to literally dust off my spinning wheel and do some spinning. I tend to do more spinning in the winter when we have a little bit more time. I get distracted with all of the other things we have going on in the summer. So I started spinning earlier this week. This is a broken back. Sorry, I'm going to try to not crinkle this too much, but it's going to happen for a minute. This is a braid of Blueface Luster hand-dyed top from Frabjous Fibers. It's called a lamb's tail. So it's 5 ounces of fiber, hand-dyed in Vermont. They're really great colorways. We got several of these from our local yarn store when we lived in Milwaukee. This is a gradient, and I'm going to try and hold it really still and not take it out of the bag because it's going to be really noisy. But the gradient, I'm actually a couple of color, or a couple of maybe shades in already. It's kind of a brownish gray. The colorway is called Lamb's Tail, and I think that's fairly
The
accurate.
colorway is called Dormouse.
Oh, sorry, Dormouse, yes. It's called a Lamb's Tail because in this long package it had a little floof sticking out at the end. But it's called Dormouse, which I think is pretty accurate. It's a mousy brownish gray, and it goes from a couple of shades darker than what you see on the bobbin all the way to this light. It's 5 ounces, so that's gonna provide quite a bit of fiber for the yarn. My goal, I say goal because who knows how it's gonna come out, is to end up with something around a DK that I can use to make a hat or something like that. So I'm spinning on my shacked matchless. I have a cherry shacked matchless. These poor bobbins are so dry, they need to be oiled. So hopefully I'll have that finished in the next couple of weeks and ready to ply. I'm spinning right now with the intent to do a chain ply or a Navajo ply so that I can maintain the color gradient from one end to the other. If I didn't, it would still look really nice together.
That would almost be fun in the yoke of a sweater.
Yeah, it would, oh yeah.
Because it's 5 ounces, so that's a little bit more than a whole,
It's a generous skein of yarn.
Mm-hmm. So that would get you enough to do. That you could even make a high lonesome out of that.
Who knows what I'm going to do with it.
Ideas.
Yeah, ideas everywhere. So my default spinning style is very technically a semi-woolen spin. meaning I do let some twist enter the web of the fiber when I'm spinning. However, I do a short forward draw. So it's woolen in the sense that I do let some twist come into the web, but my hand movement is in a worsted short forward draw. I really like the combination.
I kind of spin the same way.
Yeah. I am a terrible true woolen spinner because I'm not good with the long draw. But for me, I like this combination because it makes my single a lot more even if I let just a little bit of the twist come into the web. And then when you pull, you're getting some of that evening and stretching that you would get with a long draw or a true woolen draw. I'm just not quite as even if I keep a tight hold of it and only keep the twist in front of my fingers. And so I like that combination. It also makes a really nice yarn. You get a little bit of the qualities of both. So it's not quite as light and airy as a woolen yarn, but it's more structurally sound, as a spun yarn than just a woolen. So I really like it. We'll see how it turns out. I'm excited to be spinning again. I do love my wheel, and I'm always excited to sit down in front of it. So more to come here, but I'm glad to have some spinning finally going on. That's it. That's what I got going on.
Okay. That was enough. I mean, not a ton, but enough.
I mean...
let's talk about a super fun giveaway that we have.
Super fun.
Super fun. Those fun giveaways.
Oh, sure. I love a good giveaway, especially around the holidays.
Ugh.
A hot dish, a giveaway. Some pie.
Some of us say casserole, and some of us say hot dish.
By the way, I'd never heard of hot dish.
Those who say hot dish are wrong. It's people from Minnesota. No offense to any Minnesotans, but...
Yeah, no offense, but you're wrong.
But it's
hateful.
It's a casserole.
I'd never even heard of a hot dish until I moved up here.
I mean, your family's from Illinois. Up here, I mean, you just moved to the next state up.
I didn't live in Illinois. I've never lived there. Anyway.
It's fine. Anywho, fun giveaway. So...
Fun's your word today. Super fun.
Let me enjoy the crafty goodness. So this is the...
Let me clarify, we are not giving away my hat.
No. Let's start there. This is the... Do you want to talk about it? Flock.
Yes.
Flock together.
We are so excited that Matt from Makers Knitting, Matt Akers, reached out to us, and he and Luke from Aves Fiber Works. Yes, I'm so sorry. My brain sometimes. So Matt and Luke connected with us and said they wanted to give some yarn and a pattern away. So if you'll remember, if you've been watching for a while, I knit this hat. It's called the Flock Together hat. It's a newer pattern from Matt Akers, Makers Knitting. And Matt designed his pattern with Luke's yarn. And
this pom-pom is ridiculous.
Mine is knit with a different yarn. And Matt and Luke reached out and said they would love to send us some yarn and the pattern to give away. And we're so happy to be able to do that. So we're going to give you some information, but we'll share all of the details here. So this hat is fully cabled. It has a beautiful folded ribbed brim. It's fully cabled. It has a nice cable in the center, and then it's framed by some smaller cables all the way around. It's designed with a pom-pom in mind for the top. It's a really versatile hat. If you wanted to wear it unfolded, it would be really long and slouchy. I wear it folded up, but it's knit with a couple of yarns held together. So a fingering weight and then a mohair. So Matt is donating the pattern to 2 different winners, which is really exciting. And then Luke sent us some yarn. And I think I said fingering, but it's actually DK, isn't it? Yeah. So this is the first colorway. Oh, hi, we don't talk. These colors are gorgeous.
So this is the first kit. And to enter this giveaway, we want you to tell us what your favorite autumn food is and leave a comment down below. And then we'll do a random number generator of the names and the entries, and we will pull a winner on November 14th. So we'll do it
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So Saturday, November 14th, midnight Eastern time, we'll close it, and then we'll pull a winner. And then we'll reach out, and you can send us an email with your contact info. But we'll give away one of these kits. So it includes all of the yarn you need for the hat. This kit is rose finch. So a lot of I think all of the colors that Luke has in the shop are kind of bird themed. So the merino DK is 105 grams, 228 yards, and the mohair is a 72% Super Kid mohair, 28% mulberry silk, 251 yards.
That's nice.
And then she also included this awesome pom-pom.
This is such a great color combination. I love that deep rosy pink color. And then I love that the pom-pom contrasts but totally matches. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to tell in here, but the pom-pom actually has some kind of black and dark on the tips. It's going to be a beautiful combo. Really nice for a hat. Mm-hmm. Very warm.
So that was the first kit. And you will also get the pattern as well.
Und willst es more?
The second kit is in this awesome color. A really nice kind of sagey green. And
it's
this
called
is Toucan Olive. The same merino DK and mohair base.
These are such beautiful color combinations and such nice kits. And the fabric together is going to be really great. In fact, we have another kit for ourselves. I think I've mentioned a couple of times. This one was knit with some Chelsea Luxe. But I loved the pattern so much that I for sure will knit another one. And I'm excited to have some of Luke's yarn to knit the next one with.
So, like I said, leave a comment down below and tell us what your favorite autumn food is. Or our autumn memory. And then we'll pull a winner in 2 weeks. And then that should be enough time to be able to get the hat knit for the holidays.
Either for you or for someone else.
Yeah. Treat yourself.
Whatever you want. Can I show my kit?
Yes.
So this is the third one that Luke sent us. This is in the Kingfisher colorway for the DK. And then the mohair, I'm really struggling with words, is in the Owl Sienna colorway. I have a really funny story. I won't tell it right now. But when I lived in Tennessee, there was a very elusive kingfisher. I guess I'm telling the story anyway.
He's telling the story.
Telling the story. There was a kingfisher. The veterinary hospital I worked at was on a lake, and there was a bridge to drive over to get to the hospital. This little kingfisher, like for years, sat on one of the little posts on the bridge, and I tried to take a picture of that thing literally for years. And if I wasn't trying to take a picture, it would just sit there. But if I was driving by and tried to take a picture, it flew away. This went on for years. Anyway.
It's a great story, Rose.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited for this colorway and this color combination. I'm really interested to see what the mohair does over the top of the kingfisher. I think it's really going to highlight some of these goldy brown colors, and I'll be interested to see what it does to the bluish green. That'll be great. So I'm very excited to cast on with this, but I have to get a couple of other things done first.
Now that I'm thinking about it, there's also a discount code that Luke has given us. So, excuse me while I look that up. Keep talking.
Oh, now you want me to talk?
Go back to your story. Back in St. Olaf.
My story's over. Well, again, a very big thank you to Matt and Luke. We're super excited to partner with them. They're both so generous. We're glad to have a couple of kits to give away. I love that they've included the pom-poms also, which will be nice. And
the discount code, which is good for anything in Luke's shop, is Bearded Purl. BEARDED PURL, all lowercase, one word. And that's good for 10% off in her shop.
We've got a lot more of her yarn
Yes.
that you'll be seeing.
And
soon.
I'll make sure to put that in the show notes as well. So
Oh yeah, in the show notes.
in the show notes, you know, we'll just put that down in the
Down
bottom there,
below.
and you'll be able to see it, and boom.
Right there.
But we'll include that in the show notes. And thank you so much, Luke and Mr. Jackson, for.
Oh yes.
We forgot to show stitch markers and a really awesome little note. But we'll make sure to show that next time. Jackson has is it Mr. Rainbow stitch markers, and they're so cool,
beautiful,
and wrote this awesome little note for us. So we'll make sure to show that next time.
We'll talk more about those soon. And a big thank you also to Matt from Maker's Knitting for donating a couple of copies of his great pattern. And
Michelle from Woolens and Nosh, who also generously donated this amazing skein of sock yarn with a mini, and it is a 75% superwash Corriedale, 25% nylon. These are three
the same base as the other.
And this is Mr. Fezziwig.
Yeah.
So that's another. Oops. It's fun. Again, stay tuned for that really, really fun kit.
It's taking all of my self-control to not rip that one out and start
knitting with it. I mean, we can. Who couldn't use more socks?
Speaking of using more socks, at some point I have to wash hand knit socks because there's a pile of like 30 pair on the floor in the closet. And at some point, I don't think I can knit fast enough to not have to wash them. So you're kind of doing the thing where you, instead of washing your clothes, you buy new things so you don't have to wash them. But instead you're knitting new socks so you don't have to wash the other ones. So here's a good story to tell. I have challenges sometimes washing hand knit socks. Oh, I know where this is going. And not ruining them. Yeah. Like you went on vacation, or not vacation. You went... I left for work. You left for work on a Wednesday. Or was that a Monday? Sunday. Or I left on Monday, I think. It was Wednesday when I finally found them, because our laundry room was... I mean, we wash a lot of hand knits and stuff there anyways, so there's generally a sheepy smell to our craft room. But I walked down to do the laundry. I don't think that's true at all. And, I mean, it smelled like a wet sheep. Oh, that's possible. And I immediately knew that he forgot to take the socks out of the wash bucket. And at that time, they were Christmas socks, weren't they? Totally bled. Really bad. I mean, a 15-minute soak is different than like a 3-day soak. The pair that I forgot about was it was a white yarn that had been speckled with red and green, and I used a contrasting heel and toe, and the heel was a super saturated green and the toe was a super saturated red. And they had sat on top of each other. And so where the heel and toe were on the other sock that was on top, they're just kind of like a general swamp green. No, it's not great. Whatever. They wear the same. But I've had a couple of accidents like that. The moral of this story is set a timer. Wash light colors together and don't forget about them. Yeah. The moral of this story is don't do it wrong. Right. Yeah. And set a timer. I remember thinking... Room temperature water, a little bit of wool wash, 15-minute soak, wring out, roll up in a towel, squeeze it dry, lay flat. Easy. I've learned now, I start with the lightest pair, I do colors together, I only do 2 pair at a time so that they can just float and sit instead of just like throwing a bunch in the bucket. And I go light to dark, I keep the really... I have a whole plan now, but I distinctly remember the irony of this story is that it was late at night. I travel a lot for work pre-COVID. Well, and I remember thinking, I don't need to set a timer. I have to go back down there to do something. I'll remember this last pair. And sure enough, I did not. And so it was a Wednesday night, and I was down in the laundry room. And like I said, distinct sheepy smell. And so I immediately called him, and I was like, do you know what you forgot about? Socks. No. Were you washing anything? At least it was my socks. Yeah. Well, you also ruined a pair of my socks. I probably finished them. Okay. Anywho. We've got let's see. I'm gonna steal our dear friend Kathy's phrase. Kathy from Whatnot. To me from me.
For me from me. To me
I
from
think
me.
maybe she changed it to for me from me.
Anywho,
we have I don't have any acquisitions because I haven't bought anything, but you do.
Sandy by the lakeside.
Oh,
my dear friend.
The cat just sneezed, and I didn't even know she was over there.
Had a pre-order up for her amazing tote bags, and so I got this beautiful blue one. I have a couple of these now, and I just
a couple.
I have a collection. Anywho.
Is this number 5?
1, 2. Maybe. Don't worry about it. So I got this awesome one.
I was thinking it was maybe 3 or 4, and then I just... Anyway. I'll just sit back and...
I said what I said. I got this amazing blue one. And Sandy was so generous and so kind enough to send along a raspberry colored pouch. So these are kind of the really neat little like pencil pouches that she has, or Notions pouch. And so that's the raspberry color, and then also this clutch pouch.
Did I know black. You had a bag that color? Do you have 6?
No.
Are there 6? You have the green one?
Green, gray.
The gray, the brown.
Raspberry, brown.
The blue.
Blue. Calm down. So she sent this awesome pouch.
When this stuff came, I happened to be upstairs, and I heard a thunderous...
I may have ran through the house, grabbed the package, and ran.
...trample to the front door when the package was delivered. Like, I can't hear the elephants scrambling around in the house. And I happened to be walking down the stairs as he was running through the living room and into the kitchen, trying to get downstairs before I could see what had come. And he made it all the way down the basement stairs, and I saw... as he flew around the corner, which is a really dangerous thing to be doing at full speed in our house, because our house is old and our stairs are steep.
Yeah, and narrow. But so, I cannot say enough.
This is my life.
I am a delight. Okay. And I love supporting my friends. Plus, who doesn't love an amazing, like, tote bag? And like leather, just so good.
All of Sandy's things are beautiful. She makes really nice project bags.
She does a lot of these leather works, but also has really awesome project bags.
This is one of my favorite sock bags of hers. Mm-hmm. One of our cats loves. She puts these tassels on all of her zippers, and our cat
Buster
rips them off, and we find them all over the house.
So you have to be really careful. And if you have a project bag like from Sandy on the floor. You got to make sure you put it away in something.
Not even on the floor. He just finds them.
I don't know what it is about the tassels, but he goes crazy.
And just rips them off.
Yeah, he will not stop.
And then flings them all over the house.
So, thank you, Sandy. And there are many amazing things in her shop. And I love them.
Everything is beautiful. And she's
such a high quality.
A beautiful human being also.
She has an amazing podcast, vlog, and it's by the lakeside.
Did you see she was doing recipes? She did like a week's worth of dinners.
In her kitchen kind of
also,
series.
I want her sewing room. I want our sewing room to look like her sewing room.
Sandy, if you could just come and like rearrange and maybe clean
if we could
or
just
organize
like get rid of... That's
a
whole other episode.
Not getting rid of anything.
I was going to say the vanity that needs to go in the bathroom upstairs.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Anyway.
But so that's my fun new Sandy bag.
What other shopping have you been doing that I don't know about?
That's it.
Oh. Are we done?
I think so.
All right. So.
I think that's it.
We have... Oh, you didn't show your stitch markers.
Oh. So... Takemi Crafts also sent us these really neat little progress keepers.
Neat isn't even the right word. They are stunning.
They're incredible. They're unbelievably detailed and perfect in every way. So the first one is a little like pumpkin cupcake.
I love that. I'm going to have to knit another pair of fall themed socks just to put that on there.
And the second one, which I didn't realize this until I was playing with it, the whipped cream on top is squishy.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Yeah. So.
I was not.
Oops. Hold on.
The detail in these stitch markers is incredible.
It's a slice of pumpkin pie. And a pumpkin cupcake.
How do you know it's not sweet potato pie?
Nobody eats sweet potato pie.
That's not true.
It's pumpkin. Although, whatever. It's 2020. You do you. So she made these really awesome little progress keepers, and we're giving away a set.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
And we'll do this giveaway in Ravelry with the show notes.
So go there and do whatever.
Yes.
The instructions
This will
are.
also. Let's leave it open a week. So we'll close it on Saturday next week, which is the 7th.
No.
No, 8th. Hold on.
7th. Yeah.
Yep, 7th. So we'll close it on the 7th of November, and that way we can get that shipped out to you, and you can get it in time to knit it through the remainder of fall before we give away a super cool winter set.
Oh, because she is so generous.
She's amazing.
And
check
sent
out
us
check
more.
out the stuff in her shop. We'll have the link in our show notes. Amazingly detailed little progress keepers, and she even has like earrings and charms. And
We were looking earlier today, and she has like little cups of hot chocolate that have marshmallows,
snowman marshmallows
in the shape of snowmen,
and candy canes, and they look more real than the kind of hot chocolate I make. But the details on these things are just incredible.
Is that one squishy too?
No.
Oh. Anyway, thank you very much for generously donating the stitch markers. We're really excited to have those to give away also. There's so much generosity and love, and we want to continue passing it on to you.
Yes.
Do you want to make any comments about the other giveaways?
Yes. So the winners have been drawn for the Giftmas in July, which ended in the end of September. I have taken a couple of weeks to get those done. But so the winners have been drawn, and that is on Ravelry. So you'll find in that thread, I'll have the winners announced there. And those prizes will be going out.
Beautiful yarn from Leading Men Fiber Arts that was graciously donated. So that's going out
and
for
then
those.
There's some
and
CC's wool.
CC's wool.
And I have some fun things for the sweater weather make-along, which is going on through the end of November.
Ugh, I gotta get going.
And so...
Sweater weather.
Yeah, so that's going on the end of November. I'll pull a couple of winners there. I have some really cool prizes. Some of them being wax and wool products. I have a couple of Tuft Woolens things. Maybe in the cider donut scent. I don't know. AKA it's in the cider donut scent.
Are you giving away a candle?
I know.
Wow.
This is news, people. This is
Who
like
are
a
you?
big thing.
Our
I'm
house looks like a
sharing my
monastery
candlestick.
sometimes.
Sometimes it looks like I'm having a seance, but whatever.
I have no response to that.
Anyways, so be sure to check out the Ravelry group, our Instagram, which is the Bearded Purl, Ravelry group, the Bearded Purl. We're super excited to be able to give away these things and, you know, share these awesome patterns and makers. And thank you for joining us again. And we will see you now on a regularly scheduled program of 2 weeks. So we will join you again next weekend, or 2 weekends from now. So sometime around the 14th, 15th of November. And yeah, I want to thank you all for spending some time with us.
Yeah, it's truly been a pleasure for us to connect with you virtually. We appreciate all of the support and participation. It's a lot of fun for us. And I know the whole world right now is just going through a lot. And it means a lot to us to be able to connect with you and to...
You're all beautiful,
still
amazing
have that
human
interaction.
beings.
So thank you for sending positive energy our way.
Take the love.
We're going to
take
send
the good
positive
juju.
energy back your way. And thank you for spending time with us. It's always a good time. I look forward to the comments. We're very excited to share some of these generously donated gifts with you. Stitch markers, patterns, beautiful yarn, and project bags coming soon.
We will have a
you.
we will have a shop update on November 14th, which will include a ton of winter themed bags.
Oh.
So keep eye on the prize there. Set a reminder on your calendar. It will be to be determined, I think 10 or 11 a.m. Central Standard Time.
You just took a left turn. We were wrapping up.
But for sure,
let's land
Saturday
the
the
plane.
14th. Anywho, we love you all. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good week.
Have a good week. No matter what happens, wherever you are in the world, we will get through whatever is going on.
Be safe.
Together.
Be well. Craft on.
And
over and out.
We will see you again soon.
Bye. Guys.